So here to talk to you about your 2016 recruiting strategy and how to actually best recruit people in a way that is a win-win for everyone in the division, including the managers. Let's give a big warm welcome to Patton Sides.
Yeah, Josh, thank you very much. All right, thank you so much. How can I follow up both Danny Perez, the energy, the humor, and appreciate it very much. Mi filosofía de vender cocos vende en dos palabras. Mexicanos compran. That's right. Órale. No. And also thank you to Isaac, of course, that wonderful motivational speech we had first with the great message shared. So thanks for allowing me to follow those two wonderful gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I've given a lot of talks at a lot of different Cutco conventions and conferences, and this is probably the one that I'm most excited about because it's just us. Coordinators, events, team members. This is what gets me excited. So raise your hand again if you're a coordinator. Raise your hand, keep it up. Raise your hand, keep it up. Just kind of see. Good. Keep your hand up if you've been coordinator over 2 years, over 3 years. Oh wow, wonderful. And put your hands down. Raise your hand if you're just a team member, events team member. Awesome. Give yourselves a round of applause there. Give yourselves a round of applause. Because as team members are vital to recruiting, okay? Just like Danny said, you're a part of the team. You're part of that recruiting vision. And my dream is to see all divisions excelling because there's so much out there to learn. There's so many people we can add to our teams, all in the vector world. So it truly is an honor to be here. And I have made my living recruiting. That's what for half my life, I've been a master recruiter. One of my first stints of it was in my fraternity. For 2 semesters, I was a rush chairman. Raise your hand, fraternity people out there, college fraternity people. Not very many. Really? Only one? Man, you're missing out. Man, Delta Chi, University of Texas. But I recruited a rush. In each of the 2 semesters, I was the rush chairman. We had our record-breaking recruitment numbers those years. Of course, it was a lot easier when I was bribing people with beer and parties and drunken filthiness and debauchery. So it made it easy to get people into the fraternity. And then also recruiting, I coach pole vaulting. I know some of y'all know that. Still do some pole vault coaching. And when I coached pole vaulting at the high school, my goal was just get as many kids out to vault as possible. And the benefit was we had some great champions, some state champions, district champions that were awesome. But when it came to the success of our track team, it was the guys and girls that got 5th place, 4th place, 3rd place. Those contributed to the success of the team just as much as the champions. And in coaching, it was so powerful because to help I remember a little JV girl that went 8.5 feet like for the first time at the district meet, to see her improve to 8.5 feet was just as meaningful as coaching a state champion. And so think about the members of your team, because right now to the younger members on your team, if they have their first grand day at the booth, to them that's a huge deal. That's for them just as big as an accomplishment is like Curtis hitting for the cycle at the booth. So keep that in mind. We want to support everyone. We want to support everyone on our team. And so now as coordinator, I just continue that pattern of recruiting. In Lone Star, we currently have 7 CSPs on the team, 4 of which sold over $200,000 last year. Currently, we have 14 members on our team, kind of going into a slower part of the year for us, but 14 members in the spring. And in the summer, we're still going to have 11. Even after losing some management, some branch managers, we're still have 11 people going into the summer. We've had as many as 22 people on the team in the fall and keep adding each year. And like Danny was saying, what that's allowed us to do is we have 10 booths in our division. It's one of the reasons we're able to do 180 events in 10 malls, because we had the people to fill those events. So that's why recruiting is so vital. We talk about the 3 ways you grow. Grow your number of booths, grow your number of events, grow your number of people. That's the magic formula. And by the way, can I have my Lone Star Dogs stand up, please? Stand up, these Lone Star Dogs. Give them a round of applause. Price is back there. We have some other folks working shows. Josh, of course, is part of that. Obviously, love these guys right here, the Lone Star Dogs. So what I'm going to share with you today is first spend a lot of time talking about our recruiting philosophy, the why behind we do everything that we do. And then I'm going to walk you through our deliberate process, our deliberate process for recruiting. So I am going to kind of go through our yearly recruiting schedule. So it's what we do in Lone Star. It's the blueprint. It's the system. So you may see what we do. If you like a lot of the things that we do, you can adjust it to the needs of your division and in your calendar. So all I need to do is take good notes. We'll have questions here at the end. And again, just pick out 2 or 3 things. Pick out 2 or 3 things for your division that will be very, very impactful for you. Okay, so first, to start us off, do I go that way? Okay, event recruitment. Okay, our philosophy of recruiting. Our philosophy, number 1. Our fraternity national president, R.C. Donnelly, says this all the time. Quantity breeds quality. Think about that. Quantity breeds quality. Guys, Cutco is a recruiting business. Every year we hire as many people as possible. Okay? We've all been through the interviews. All right? Raise your hand if you got hired because you had a pulse. If that. All right? Definitely. So quantity breeds quality there. You never know how good someone's going to be. Okay, when you start recruiting reps to your team, yeah, you may have some high flyers that have a 20K push week or 15K SC2 push and do really good in the summer, all right? But you never know how good someone's going to be just by one summer of sales. And we've had it happen numerous times where we talk to the managers, who's the sharp kids, who are the up-and-coming sales reps that can be good at events? Well, this kid that had a 15K SC2 push, and how many of those have you seen just burn out and don't do anything after that? Right? So you never know how good someone is going to be. When I was a football coach, it happened to us all the time. We'd have that young kid that just looked like a good athlete, really, really fast. Oh, yeah, he's got to be a starter. He looks good. He's strong. He's big. But when the light came on Friday night, they played like a cow with a crutch, and it didn't even matter. So you never know. Our business gives people to prove themselves. Okay, I'll be honest. Pricey Martinez, who just stepped out on our team, was late to his first day of training. And if you know how to make me mad, be late to one of my meetings. What's this kid doing? But now he's one of the leaders on our team, a CSP who at the first didn't impress me much. But now he's a leader that we really rely on teaching to a lot of our new reps. And when we recruit, we give everyone a chance in Cutco. We do. That's why a lot of us are here, because somebody gave us a chance. They didn't say, your pants are too baggy or your hair's too long. They gave us a chance. And so the right people will make it. The right people will make it. In our events, we recruit a lot of people in the fall. A lot of people weed themselves out. A lot of people don't make it. They don't sell, okay? But some people we have to let go of, okay? But the right people, the right ones will leave, but the right ones are going to stick around. So again, with that quantity breeds quality philosophy, you're going to increase your people, increase the number of booths, and increase the number of shows that you can do. And I think Danny talked about this well, that the events with the events program, when you recruit people to your team, when you think about building your events team, you're building the entire division. Okay? The events program benefits the entire division. That's why we train and let our team, our branch management candidates, our district manager candidates, our assistant managers, college kids, okay? Because it does a lot of things, not just for our booth sales, but for the entire division. If we get a DM candidate to join us in the fall, what does that do for that branch or DM candidate? First, it keeps them alive. We all know that the manager's job to keep their reps just alive through the fall into the spring to get them to launch, hold their heads above water. They increase their sales. They increase their sales skills. We have a DM candidate, Andrew Daniels, open up a district office in a couple months. But he wanted to be here because he understands the value that the events program is going to add to his office. It helps those management candidates with their office savings. And then the beauty of it is we have a lot of managers that, like branch managers that shut down at the end of the summer, or a DM that decides, I want to do something different, that come back to our team. Pricey Martinez, Dante Reynolds, Drew Manning, Caitlin, you were a Dom, right? If management isn't their thing, they come back. So that's why we have an inclusive mindset that everyone can contribute and everyone can benefit in some way from the events program, even if they're not selling the most and working the best shows. Or DMs, or a lot of those folks can fill up smaller events so we don't have people to fill. And I'm going to say this now, just plant a little seed here, thinking about it. In December, we have a lot of our DMs work some mall shifts, not a lot, but think about your DMs in around Christmas time. They're not running a lot of trainings. They're getting ready for their January program. Their sales are slow. If you have trained district managers in your division that can work, that are good at working events, they can work your malls for you, whether a whole lot or some just fill in 2 or 3 shifts during the week or on the weekends. They can fill those shifts you need and contribute, make a little money. So kind of planting the seed for that right there. So again, we want to build the entire division of recruiting. As many people get involved in the events program as possible. And again, this must be communicated with the district managers, okay? We know that some of their reps don't, some may lose some money on shows on times. We get it, okay? But we have to communicate this with the DMs, have them be on board with our program. Because the fact of the matter is, the district managers are the backbone of our business. None of us would be here without our district managers. And when it comes to our shows and our service calls, how many past customer orders do we get at the booth because they bought from a high school or college kid 5 years ago, or 10, or 2? Or how many service call leads do you get? Exactly. And when we think about our future, when we think about Cutco 15 to 20 years down the road, we know some regions are struggling with recruitment, okay? So what would our business look like 15, 20 years down the road without those DMs producing kids to sell to their moms and dads in the summer and then come buy from us a couple years later? All right. So whenever we recruit kids, a great idea, if you have branch manager, AM manager candidates on your team, okay, you want to support them in whatever role they want to be and realize that if they want to open an office, they still get true benefits from the sales experience of being on the team. All right, so raise your hand here if you were a manager, branch or district at one point. Wow, vast majority. Raise your hand if you're glad you're not a manager anymore. Keep it up. Now put your hands down. Let me ask you something. Think to yourself, have I ever talked bad about the managers in my division or the management opportunity? Ask yourself that question. Have I ever done it? Have I ever said, man, our kids aren't selling outside the booth because our managers don't do anything. We have these managers that go out with 10K in sales and not get up. Guys, we can't be bad-mouthing our DMs like that because they're the backbone of the business that we have, okay? So keep that in mind as you're recruiting the kind of image you're portraying to the management program to everyone on your team, because having a good, strong relationship with your DMs is vital to your recruiting process. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And some DMs like to work shows with us. Wouldn't you know that? Even the ones that don't have any hair. It's crazy. Now, I will say this, when it comes to our recruiting, we do have standards. We don't run our events program like a DM office and recruit everybody. Here you have a pulse and a pair of scissors. Okay, go cut pennies and sell. We have some standards higher than that. You have to be, and you can do it differently, just what we do. You have to be at 15K to train, 20K in sales, even work events. And we limit, just so you know, we limit the dollar amount they can spend on shows, because now at 20K, they're only making like a 5% bonus, so we don't let them work anything over $100. Then 30K, they could be a full-fledged member. So again, we do have standards on our team. We have to hit bonus every month, but we want to be as inclusive as possible. So that's kind of wrap up just our philosophy, the why behind why we want to get as many members on our events programs as possible. And if we do that nationwide, we can double and triple the amount of events that we're doing. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through our timeline. Again, this is how we do it for Lone Star. This is our recruiting calendar. You hear Josh always talks about systems. This is the system we have in place, which pick out what you really think works with your timeline, your schedule, and your division. It could be different for y'all up north where it's cold in the winter and cool, nice in the summer. It could be a little different. But here's how we operate. So recruiting really starts now for the fall. Really starts out kind of March and April. This is the time right now, all coordinators, is a time of the year when you start meeting with your DVMs. As Danny was saying, set your vision for the year. How do you need to grow? Who are the strong district managers and who are the assistant managers that could be good candidates? Okay. So this is the time you're setting your vision, planting seeds with reps and managers about the events program. A great activity which to be involved in is, now the district managers are trying to have their weekly or monthly conference calls that they do, training calls. Be on those. Okay, your role as a coordinator is as important as a DM. You need to be on your district manager training calls. Maybe not every single one, and maybe not the whole call, but spend 5, 10, 15 minutes. Listen in, make some comments. Just give all the managers an update of how the events team are doing. Who are some sales reps that are doing well? Because again, that positive relationship with your district manager will be vital for them to want to funnel people to your team. Okay? Because the members on the events team, the FSMs, the CSPs, all your managers, they want their reps to be like you. They want their reps to be like Drew Manning, okay, or Dante. So having that positive relationship, so take my guys' field training, come talk at my meeting, please. You need that presence, and again, that builds their office, builds their division, help their reps sell more, and get them more excited about working events. So again, campaign 1, this time of the year is starting those relationships with DMs, planting the seeds for how you're going to recruit a whole heck of a lot of people to your events team. Now, of course, Campaign 2. Why is this the main focus? Why do y'all think Campaign 2 is probably the main focus of recruiting? Why is that? Why is that, anybody? It's where we recruit the most people. It's where all the new reps are coming from, right? All the new reps are coming from. And it's kind of like the philosophy of the Cutco philosophy, the managers, is to keep the reps alive from event to event. Keep them alive to the first division meeting, then keep them alive to SC1, then get them to sell to SC2. It's keeping them alive. And the recruiting process is similar in that we're keeping our recruits, those contacts, going and building from event to event throughout the summer. So before SC1s, this is like in May, usually in May, things you can be doing. In team meetings that you have, if you can stop in on an office team meeting and talk for a little bit. Also, they have the division meetings, before SC1, the pre-SC1 meetings. You need to have a member of your team at those divisional meetings just to talk about. Don't talk about events so much, just sales. Give a talk about the opportunity, closing skills, how to improve their demo, but also start planting the seeds for the event team. Also, field trainings. This is when you want to field train like crazy. Anytime you have service calls, you and the members in our team need to be reaching out to the DVMs in the area, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be in the area in San Antonio these next couple days. If you got reps, have them come field train with me." Good thing to get involved in those offices. And of course, I really encourage you to continue to be on those manager calls, just to be present. And want to stretch how important that presence is, that they understand that you care about the vision that sets the entire division. So again, field training, talking at meetings, having that presence known about the events, and starting to plant the seeds so when those managers have those reps that are coming, they can say, "Hey, you're doing pretty good. If you keep working on it, we got this events program that's kind of cool. Get to work with the top reps in the division. Something you might want to think about." Then as we get to SC1, okay, SC1, one thing you may want to consider is having at SC1 a service call training, okay? In Lone Star, 80 reps over 5K get trained on service calls. If they get nominated by their managers, you may want to have a different standard. But and we teach that skill of service calls not only to help the reps on their appointments, but to get their idea that, hey, when we work events, guess what? Get a lot of service call leads. How cool is that? So we start that training process of the service calls. And again, at that service call training, we just start to promote the events program, okay? We start to promote it. It's a wonderful opportunity. Now, we'll say one thing. In the summer, you don't want to oversell the events program. Because what should the new reps be focusing on in the summer? Demos, phone calls, leads. Demos, phone time leads. Demo, phone time leads. It's not, oh yeah, if I can just get on the events team, it's going to be so much easier. I don't want to call leads anymore. I just sit in the booth and sell. You don't want to oversell that. But you can sell them on the fact that this, and I think just about everyone in this room can say this. If you're an FSM, if you're in college, there's no better job than being an FSM working Cutco events. Who agrees with that statement right there? Is that not true? Oh yeah, there's no better job. So definitely promote that. Even if you're out of college. Oh yeah, old people like you and me, let me tell you. I sold it twice through college, 6 years, go figure. And then, the one thing we promote our SC1, again, the idea of keeping them alive to the next event. We do our events training at SC2, usually like the day after. So again, we give them something to shoot for. We give them, hey, if you keep working hard, have a good SC2 push. We have our events training that you can qualify for if you keep working hard. So we promote that that's the what's it called, the carrot on the stick, right, that they follow? Right, the carrot on the stick. They keep working hard, keep you alive for another month or so. And then one of the keys to make your recruitment successful is this last one here, emails, phone numbers. Names, emails, phone numbers of all the reps that were at your service call training. All those top reps. I'll explain why that's important in a second. But getting that contact info. Okay. Doing all right so far? All right. So I know this is kind of walking through the process. Nothing fun and exciting, but grinding through the process of what we do. So we've got them to SC1, field training, or service call training, promoting SC2. So in the interim, again, keeping them alive to SC2 with that list, you need to call and email all those potential recruits. Okay, this is where your team gets involved. If you're not a coordinator, as a coordinator, what you might want to do is this: divide up that call list to all the leaders on your team. Hey, Josh, here's 10 people, and Drew, here's 10 people, Dante, here's 20 people. Okay, and before SC2, give them a phone call. There's a pointer on it. Ooh, cool, sweet pointer. Yeah. Email and call. And the phone calls, so keep in touch with them. What do we say on those phone calls and emails? As we say, is of course promoting the events training at SC2, giving some motivation getting some motivation. I sent out a mass email to all of them with all the requirements they have to be at training. You got to be at 15K to train. You have to buy your training kit in that meantime. So it's just keeping in contact and promotion. And you can divide that work up amongst your teams so you don't have to call 20, 30, 40, 50 people. If you give everyone on your team 5 or 10 names, it makes it a lot easier, doesn't it? Shoot, yeah. So we're promoting that. And then, of course, continue doing service call field trainings with the top reps. Reach out to your DMs. Hey, send me some top reps. Don't send me the reps you want me to just keep alive. You may have that happen to you. A DM's like, oh, you got to take this guy field training. He really needs some help. Like, okay, cool. You go on a service call. So we're at career sales. They're like 300. I'm out of leads. And you're like, oh, great. So that's not our job. That's not our job. It's to get those top reps some experience. That's what they sound like. Oh, my gosh. So it's a communication system before SC2 to keep them aware of what they need to be, to give them that goal of getting to 15K so they can train and getting your team to help out. And as a result, when we get to SC2, guess what we have the day after SC2? Woo, events training. Now, the reason we do that in Lone Star, because everything's bigger in Texas. Yeah, Danny, our division, it's 12 hours north to south, just so you know. Like 12 hours, all right? Yeah, it's that far. It's a time we can get everyone together at one spot. If they're there for SC2, we don't want kids from Lubbock making another trip to Austin with all the other meetings they got to go to. That's why we do it. Think about it for your division. But our Lone Star division is spread out from hell to breakfast when you go from Brownsville all the way up to Lubbock. Okay, so what do we do at SC2? We have our events training the day after. It's a fun thing. They spend the night. We have food there. It's really fun. It's an all-day training. They select their field training shifts. So, usually SC2 is end of July, 1st of August. We have our first team meeting about a month later, into August, 1st September. So in the interim, between the time we train them and our first team meeting, we do their their field trainings at the show. Most of y'all have a field training requirement at the booth. They have to do 2 of them. So again, they pick their field training shifts at the training, and again, that continues to keep them alive so we don't lose them in the month of August when their offices are starting to shut down and it gets slow. Keep pushing them towards sales, getting them excited, something to look for, okay? And of course, so after SC2, before our first team meeting, we continue to field train, service call the top reps. Oh, and this is the time of the year when you can pick up those branch managers and district managers that are closing down too. Maybe they've been around a while, they need training. We have some standards for them coming back to the business, but that you can pick up some of those branch managers that are shutting down that aren't going to go full DM. All right, a couple more. Then finally, as we get to campaign 2, we have our first team meetings. The first big one we do, we play the fun Play-Doh game, which is really fun. The key here is to keep the recruits alive between SC2 and the first team meeting. That's usually a full month. So that's the challenge, okay? That's why we do the field trainings and the booth trainings to keep them alive. And then, of course, again, in between SC2 and our first meeting, that consistent email, phone call, text communication. Split up your list again. Hey, it was great to have you at training. Have you hit your standards yet? Are you at 20K yet to pick shifts? Our first meeting's coming up on August the 31st. What are your sales at? How far do you need to go? So keep that communication cycle going via email, phone calls, and text, promoting the first meeting. And then we have our first team meeting, of course, and that's when we pick our first shifts, do some training, have a good time, welcome everybody new to the team right there. So again, you see how we've walked through our summer, our campaign 2, with the system of getting our recruits from event to event, helping the managers keep their reps alive from event to event, culminating in our first team meeting when we pick our first shift, so we have our new meters on the team. During campaign 3, just a few notes about that. During campaign 3, your recruiting is not done. This is your first full campaign with new reps. You still have your monthly meetings, trainings, conference calls to keep developing those new reps. Again, make sure they're selling outside the booth. We kind of have a fast start mentality for the month of September. Let me say this with new reps. That month of September is key. Your new young reps that have just joined the team, it's vital that they hit bonus in September. We found that if we lose a kid that doesn't hit bonus in September, usually they don't hit bonus ever again. And the reason is this, because I've talked to young managers about this. September's when a lot of offices really not literally shut down, but mentally shut down. Their managers worked hard all summer. The kids have been to conferences and had pushes and all that. They get to September, school starting, and their office energy dies. They're used to going to team meetings with 15, 20 people. Now there's like 2. Their managers checked out going to SLC, and they're energized. Keep them alive. Keep them hitting bonus during September. That is key for that. Again, we make them hit bonus every month to stay on the team. We stress sales outside of the booth because we don't want them just thinking, oh, I'm on the team. I can come up and show up to a shift every month and I'll hit bonus. No, that's not how it works. We set a realistic expectation for the new members on our team. They're going to get to pick 1, 2, maybe 3 shifts a month, not the big ones, not the home and garden shows. So they're going to get a lot of leads, maybe sell a little bit at the booth, but they've got to be working outside the booth. Some will weed themselves out, of course, but that's natural. And last but not least, we start promoting our malls all the way throughout the campaign, right? So again, it's that carrot on the stick, right? Event to event. We've got them to the fall. Now we keep them alive to the malls. Give them something to shoot for. Hey, man, you got to hit your bonus requirements. You want to stay on the team. You want to be around for the malls. That's going to be awesome in December. You can ask, Daniel right here, he got to work them all almost by himself, and you get on the team, sold like $16,000. All right, kept pushing and fighting. So again, we use that as a carrot to build our mall program there too. And then guess what? It starts right back over again because you're always recruiting, always recruiting. What we're in right now, January, February, campaign 1. This is a time where we're meeting with our team members, discussing goals, starting to develop CSPs that aren't going back into management. And the key currently, I said Andrew's going to go open an office here in April or May. We want to keep him churning out as much CAPO as possible in February and March, building up his withholding accounts, okay, so that he can go and crank it out there. I've had a lot of people ask if we do extra trainings in the spring. You can hold a training whenever you want to or need to, whenever it's viable for you. We've experimented with doing a couple of trainings a year. If you have the people to do it, it makes sense. If you have a ton of shows in the summer, we don't. That's our low times. It's hotter than a fireman's destination in Texas in the summer, like Danny was saying. We don't have a need to add a lot of people to the team, but if your division, some of y'all Yankees up there where it's like 60 in June, or nice in Colorado where it's gorgeous, you may consider doing an extra training to add people to the team there. Okay, so just to review real quickly, guys, our recruiting strategy. By the way, Mike LeMaster asked if I could include 3 or 4 of my Texas sayings in the speech, and I've hit on a couple of them. There's plenty more where that came from, but, I knew there's a lot of y'all folks in California that may not understand the way I talk. So to wrap up, again, our philosophy of recruiting for events. Quantity breeds quality. Can't stress that enough. Events build the entire division. If you're a coordinator, you're helping build a division. Your events team is part of the division, and we grow managers, we grow sales reps, we grow CSPs. Have that vision. And then the calendar. Again, just to review the calendar, we're starting now, April or May. We start setting the vision with our DMs, start communicating with your DMs. As we move into the summer, field train the top reps out of their office on service calls. We do a service call training at SC1, and that's where we really start recruiting for our events. Keep in contact with those recruits throughout the summer so that at SC2, we can have tons of folks at our events training at SC2. Then keep those guys alive to get to our first meeting in August by field training at the booth, continued communication via text, email system there. So that is the Lone Star recruiting philosophy and system. I hope you're able to take at least some of those ideas, some of those things on your calendar, and apply them to your division. So again, if we're going to grow this thing to 25 and 30 million, it's going to take a whole lot more folks than we got. So we got to keep recruiting like we always do in Cutco, adding to the team. So thank you very much. We'll have a Q&A and stuff. Wonderful.